In today's video, we're going to do the distance and midpoint practice. So it says, in the standard XY coordinate plane, what is the distance between -1, 1 and 2, 3? So the distance formula, remember you take x sub 2 and subtract x sub 1 and then square. And then you repeat that same process with the y values. So x2 would be this first one. So we get 2 minus -1, which is really plus 1. y2 is 3 minus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do this by hand. So 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 squared is 9. 3 minus 1 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. Well, 9 plus 4 is 13, which is not simplified. Cannot be simplified. What in the world? I don't even think I'm speaking English. So the distance is the square root of 13. One thing to be careful, in between it's always plus, so be mindful of that. Also, the double negative will change to positive as well. All right, number 2, in the standard XY plane, what are the coordinates of the midpoint of the line segment connecting to 7 and 5, 7? So what's happening here is we are just trying to find the midpoint, so you add the x's, so 2 plus 5 divided by 2, and add the y's, 7 plus 7 divided by 2. Well, 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. And if we stop here, we can see that the correct answer is B, because 3.5 is the x value, and that's the only one listed. But if we continue, 7 plus 7 is 14. 14 divided by 2 is also 7. So then we can see from here as well. Now, if you're going to put this in your calculator, totally fine. However, mistake number 1 that we always make is we need to put parentheses around the numerators. If we don't, it's only going to take the 2, divide the last number by 2. So what that's going to look like is parentheses 2 plus 5 divided by 2. If you don't put parentheses, then you get 4.5. So make sure parentheses are out there. All right, next problem, number 3. We've got a segment and the midpoint is 2, 5, and point A is 1, 0. What is the length of AB? So what I'm going to do here is draw my segment. So this is A, B, and my midpoint. Remember, midpoint means that it's equal distance on both sides. The location of the midpoint is 2, 5, and then location of A is 1, 0. We have to figure out how long AB is. So what I would recommend is just finding the distance of AM and doubling it by multiplying by 2. So the distance formula equals, and we've already written it down, so I'm going to make this one like x1, y1, x2, y2. So x2 is 2 minus 1 squared, plus 5 minus 0 squared. All right, so 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 5 minus 0 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So that gives us the square root of 26. Now, the square root of 26 represents just the distance from A to M. So this value is the square root of 26. Well, since M is the midpoint, that means the other distance is also the square root of 26. So if I'm finding the whole distance, I would add them together. Square root of 26 plus the square root of 26 is option E. If you pick option D, that's only half of the segment. It wants the full length. Number 4, as shown below, M and L form 90 degrees. What is the product of their slopes? Here's the thing about this problem. These lines are perpendicular, so it really doesn't matter what their slopes are, but we do know that they should be opposite reciprocals. So I'm just going to make this slope 3 over 4. The perpendicular slope to 3 over 4 would be -4 over 3, opposite reciprocal. So when I multiply 3 over 4 times -4 over 3, we know that the fraction is going to be negative because this is positive times a negative. And this is just a general case. Also, notice how we're multiplying the same numbers on the top and the bottom. Well, if we do that, it's always going to reduce to 1. So in this problem, the top is going to be -12, the bottom will be 12, which reduces to -1. So when you multiply perpendicular slopes, you will always get -1. Like I could pick another perpendicular slope, like 1/5 and then -5 over 1. That would give me -5 over 5, which is -1. Like any perpendicular slope, since they're opposite reciprocals, they will always reduce to -1, which is option B. Number 5. Line L is parallel to the y-axis. Which of the following pairs of points could be on line L? So parallel to the y-axis would mean that this slope here is undefined. Because remember, the parallel, the y-axis is vertical, so this slope is undefined. When it's undefined, that means that it's a number divided by 0. So what we're looking for here is, since we want a line parallel, we're looking for a slope where 0 is in the denominator of the fraction. So looking at the answer choices, the correct answer is C, and the reason is, remember, slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to make this y2, so 7 minus 4 over 1 minus 1 gives me 3 over 0, which matches this slope. So that's how we know that it is parallel, because it is also undefined. Number 6. In the following figure, the midpoint of line MN is P. So let's stop here. We know that P evenly divides this segment and this segment. Okay, that's important. And then it says that QP, R is the midpoint. So that means that this measurement and this measurement are the same. One thing about these midpoint problems, the ACT loves to stack them on top of each other and put multiple midpoints on top of one another. So in this problem, drawing on your picture is really going to be the most help. However you want to do it is right. Just draw on it. So now we're going to get into the actual values. It says that QR is 6. Well, QR is this measurement right here. It is 6. Well, R is the middle of QP, which means this measurement is also 6. And then it tells us that NQ is 4. So N to Q, that is 4. This full distance is 4 plus 6 plus 6. That's segment addition, which is 16. However, that's not the full answer. We want to know the measurement of M all the way to N. So you have to do 16 plus the other half is 16 to get a distance of 32. So drawing on this picture is helpful. Understanding that midpoint means the point in the center of a segment that evenly breaks it up into 2 congruent pieces. That's going to make this problem a lot easier. Number 7, which of the following equations represents a line that is perpendicular to 5x minus 2y equals 8? Before you even start, you have to solve for y. You can't identify slopes unless it's in y equals mx plus b or point slope form. So in here, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract the 5x. So I'm going to bring this over here after having subtracted 5x to the other side. I will divide everything by negative 2. So I get, oh, I made that x by accident. Y equals negative 5 over negative 2 is 5 halves. X minus 4. So this is my slope, 5 over 2. I'm looking for something perpendicular. So I flip the fraction, change the sign. So when I solve this problem, I am looking for something with a slope of negative 2 over 5 because the line has to be perpendicular. So to do this problem, I'm going to tell you the correct answer is E. And let's talk about why the correct answer is E. So let's see here. How am I going to do this? Let me go ahead and just get like a hall pass. That's what I usually do, is write on my hall passes. So down here, I'm going to solve option E. So the first thing I want to do is add 2x to both sides. So I get negative 5y equals 2x plus 10. And now I'm going to be dividing everything by negative 5. So y equals negative 2/5 x minus 2. Notice how these two slopes are matching, so that's how we know we found the correct line. So I didn't want to just waste your time solving all of these problems, so just be mindful when you're moving negatives, you should be adding them to the other side or dividing by negatives. Just be careful. A lot of these problems bank on the fact that you'll make an algebra mistake, so don't make one. So the correct answer is E. All right, number 8. A line in the xy coordinate plane has a slope of negative 5 over 3 and passes through negative 3, 5. What is the y-intercept? Well, the only way to get a y-intercept is to put it into y equals mx plus b form. However, all I have is a point and a slope, which means I have to use point slope form. So y minus y1 equals m parenthesis x minus x1. Remember, the names of the lines are named based on what you need to write their equation and what you need to graph them. So if you see point and slope, you have to think point slope form. So y minus 5, so this is my y1 value, equals my slope of negative 5/4 x minus x1, which is negative 3. So that's going to change to positive, double negative. From here, it's basic distributing. So y minus 5 equals negative 5/4 x. So we're multiplying here and here. So negative 5/4 times 3 is negative 15/4. And then to solve for y here, we're going to go ahead and add 5. So when we do that, I'm going to bring it up here. Y equals negative 5/4 x. And then negative 15 plus 5. Let me go ahead and grab my calculator. Work smarter, not harder. So we have negative 15 over 4 plus 5. Decimal, math, enter, enter, gives us 5/4. So again, if you're working with decimals and you don't want to, just use your calculator. So the y-intercept is represented by the letter B, including the symbol in front. So our answer is C, 5/4. Remember, to help you pick which line you need to start with, it gives you a slope and a point. You have to start at point slope. There's no other way to go. Okay. Which of the following could be the coordinates of point M? Here's what I don't want you to do with this problem. I don't want you to overthink it. It is so easy to overthink these kinds of problems because there's no numbers on that picture. But what I want you to think about is how you get from the origin over to M. So we go left first, which is a negative x direction. So let's stop there. So we're going somewhere in the negative x. So looking through my answer choices, C, D, and E all have positive x values. Positive x values are this direction. Well, I didn't go that direction. I need to get up here to M. I got to go left first. So C, D, and E are out. You, work smarter, not harder. Use your answer choices to cross them out. Now, to get to M, we have to go up in the y direction. So my y value should be positive. Well, this one is negative. That's saying that I went down in the y direction. The point is not located down here. The point is located up here. So the correct answer is B. Don't panic if it doesn't give you a coordinate. Doesn't mean, you have to think of one. Just think of how to get where. All right, next page, number 10. Let me move that over. Number 10, this is a review from last chapter involving parallel lines and transversals. So this one says that in the following figure, lines L and M are parallel. L is the transversal. The sum of x and y is 160. What is the value of z? So in this problem, it's a little bit tricky to kind of see. This is the letter Z, this is X, and this is Y. I know it's a little fuzzy. Now, when we add X and Y together, X plus Y equals 160, we know that X and Y are corresponding angles. They're identical to each other. So that means that X and Y are actually the same number. So I'm going to take 160 and divide it by 2, giving me an answer of 80. 80 plus 80 is 160. And I know that they're equal because those angles are corresponding. So now I'm going to kind of redraw this picture. I'm looking for my Z value. I know that this is 80. So my mind should go, hey, that's a linear pair. They form a straight line. So linear pairs add up to 180. So to solve for Z, I do 180 minus 80, which is 100, option D. So this problem requires that you know what corresponding angles are, as well as recognizing linear pairs. Okay, number 11. In the XY coordinate plane, what is the midpoint of the line segment that starts here and ends here? So again, midpoint, add the x's, so negative 4 plus negative 8 over 2, 0 plus negative 12. And I honestly don't know why I wrote it that way instead of writing subtraction. It's okay. Math works out the same way. So negative 4 minus 8 is negative 12. And then 0 minus 12 is, again, negative 12. Oh, sorry, I wrote 6. That's what it simplifies to. So now to simplify this, negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6, and negative 6, which is option D. Okay. Remember, if you're putting it in the calculator, you want to make sure that you are putting the top two in parentheses. If you don't, it won't work. All right, next one, number 12. Which of the following equations represents a negative y-intercept? So a negative y-intercept would just mean that it's y equals mx minus b, so this number will be negative. So I'm just going to start at the top. I'm going to start by adding the 5x. So 2y equals positive 5x minus 10. Divide everything by 2. Oh, oops. So y equals 5 halves x minus 5. And that is, in fact, a negative y-intercept. So we got lucky here, and the answer is A. All you have to do on these problems is just solve for y, and then kind of analyze your answer choices. Number 13, if the point 4 comma y is on the line negative 8x minus 4y equals 16, what is the value of y? This is kind of like those fancy substitution problems. So remember how we had those problems? It was like x arrow y. It's kind of like the same thing. So remember, these are coordinates. So the first term always is corresponding to x. Anything in parentheses represents points. So your mind should think of x and y. So 4 is listed first, x is listed first. That means that x equals 4. From here, it's just substitution. So I'm going to take the 4, I'm going to plug it in right here. Negative 8 times 4 minus 4, y equals 16. And then just simplify. So I get negative 32 minus 4y equals 16. Adding 32 gives me 48. And then dividing by negative 4 gives me an answer of negative 12, which is option C. So again, just be careful when you're doing these problems. Make sure that you're setting them up the right way. Make sure that you're understanding. It's just a fancy way to write substitution. Number 14, if the value of the x, we have a center of a circle at 2, 5, and a point on the circumference is 4, 9, what is the distance of the radius? So I'm going to draw my center of my circle. It's 2, 5. And then we have some random circle. Again, I'm freehanding. It's not going to be pretty. That was pretty bad at the end. We have this random point, 4, 9, and it's on the circumference. The term on the circumference means that it's sitting somewhere on the circle. The circumference is the distance around. We want to know in this problem, what is the length of the radius? Well, all we're really doing is the distance between 2 points. That's it. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. I'm going to do the distance formula. So x2 is 4 minus x1 is 2. Do the same thing with your y. So 9 minus 5 squared. I'm going to simplify from here. So 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. Plus 9 minus 4. 9 minus 4 is 4. 4 squared is 16. And then my distance is going to be the square root of 20, which is not an answer, but that doesn't mean you didn't do it right. So this can actually be broken up into 4 times 5. The square root of 4 is 2, and then the square root of 5 cannot simplify. So the square root of 20 reduces to 2 square roots of 5, which is option 14, or option C. This is number 14. Now, let's say you're looking at this problem and you're like, I have no idea, I did not know that. You can type it in your calculator and get the decimal and then just type in your answer choices. So you can do that as well. Okay, number 15, which of the following equations represents a line parallel to the x-axis? Well, the x-axis is horizontal, and remember, if lines are horizontal, the slope is 0. Looking at your answer choices, we're looking for things that are parallel. Well, the only line that has a slope of 0 is y equals a number. When we graph y equals a number on the xy plane, we go up to that number and graph it horizontally, which means the slope is 0. So the answer is B. Number 16, pull this up real quick. So in the following figure, M, N, and L, they all intersect and form angles. What is the value of x plus y plus z? So in this problem, we know that this angle and this angle are both y because they are vertical from each other. And now I should see, hey, I've got 3 angles here. They form that nice straight line. They must be a linear pair. Well, linear pairs always equal 180, so the answer is E. Nothing to solve for, nothing to, try to figure out. It's a linear pair, and do you know that vertical angles are equal? Number 17 was the slope of these lines. So right here, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So slope is subtracting, so negative 1/4 minus 2 over x2 is negative 1/4 minus a negative 1/2 is positive 1/2. So I'm going to show you how to do this in the calculator because I honestly think that we're bad at fractions in the calculator, okay? It has nothing against you. Sometimes fractions are a pain in the butt, okay? What I would recommend is not doing all of this at once. Whenever you're doing this in your calculator, I would just focus on the top first. When you're only focusing on the top, you only need to put the 1/4 in parentheses. Okay, and that gave us a decimal, and you know what? I'm going to leave it as a decimal. Because fractions inside fractions are a pain, which is why they did this. Okay? Next, I'm going to do the bottom. Now, for the bottom, I'm going to put parentheses and parentheses. I would honestly focus one at a time. Do not try to type all this in. It's possible. I'm not saying it's not. But it can be very complicated by accident. So you want to be careful. Oop, I accidentally put a negative in there. Oh my goodness. Sorry. I was like, that's not the answer. Okay. So you want to be very careful doing these. Like, I literally messed up. I put a negative in there. When you're doing these problems, I would do them top and then bottom. Take the extra second. Then go ahead and do negative 1.75 divided by positive. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I lost my train of thought. And that gives you an answer of negative 7, which is the correct answer. Sorry. I was like, that's not right, but it was. So what you want to make sure you do here, I would do it step by step, top and then bottom, and then combine them together. I will show you. This is how you would type it in all at once. It's just a lot of parenthesis closing. Come on. That is crazy. It's a bunch. And if you leave one of them off, your answer's wrong. So just be careful. I would just do top and then do the bottom. Number 18, which of the following statements must be true regarding the line graphed in the figure? The slope of the line is positive. That is true. This line is going up and is ending in quadrant number 1, which makes it positive, so that is true. The x-intercept is negative. Well, the x-intercept would be on the x-axis. So when I look here, the x-intercept is actually a positive number because it's crossing in a positive place. So this is incorrect. Number 3, the y-intercept is positive. No, the y-intercept is here, and the y-intercept is actually a negative number. So that's not true. So only number 1, which is option A. All right, continuing on. Let's see here. Get everything adjusted. There we go. Number 19, sorry. Gosh, we've been doing a lot of these problems. Number 19, this is a matrix problem. This is a little bit of review for us. So we are wanting to know what x minus y is. So x matrix is 3, 5, 4, 6 minus the y matrix, which is 2, 4, negative 1, and 0. You can do this in your calculator if you want, but it's going to be a lot faster to just do it by hand because it's subtracting. It's not hard. So what I'm going to do, remember, it's position only, so top minus top. It has to be in the same location. So this is 3 minus negative 2, which becomes 3 plus 2, which is 5. So what that means is, in your final matrix, the first position here is 5. So I have to look at my answer choices. Well, this one's 5, that's 1, negative 5, 4, and 6. So you don't even have to finish the matrix. If you were taking the time to do this in your calculator, you would have wasted a lot of time. So just knowing how to do it by hand will actually save you time. Number 20, if log sub 3 of x equals 2, then x equals what? Remember, logs are circles. 3 raised to the 2 equals x. So this becomes 3 squared equals x, and 3 squared is 9. So the correct answer is B. All right, number 21, simplify. Anytime I see a squared in these, I should be thinking, how can I factor this? I know it's been a while since we've factored, but it's nothing you can't do. I see an x squared and a -9. I see a difference. I see a binomial, and I see two perfect squares. So the top of this is actually the difference of squares. So x minus 3, x plus 3. Well, x minus 3 on the bottom, I can't do anything with, but I do have an x minus 3 on top and bottom, so I'm left with x plus 3, which is h. Anytime you see squareds and perfect squares, think difference of squares, especially if it's a two-term binomial. Number 22, at what point do the lines x equals 9 and 3x plus y equals 4 intersect? Now, what you're actually doing is, this is a system. So you have two lines, they're crossing. It wants to know, hey, what points do they cross at? Like, what is the location? Well, it tells you that x is 9. And since this is a coordinate, the x coordinate always goes first. So we know that 9 is the first part of the answer. Notice how A and B are banking on the fact that you don't know that. So A, B, and C, those are all out. I'm just left with D and E. Those are the only ones that have 9. Notice how I narrowed down my choice from 20% chance of guessing and getting it right to a 50% chance. So remember, even if you don't know what you're doing, try to eliminate something. Try to do anything. So now I'm going to take x and plug it in. So 3 times 9 plus y equals 4. So 27 plus y equals 4. When I subtract 27, I get negative 23, which is my y value. So the correct answer here is D. Nothing too complicated. Nothing you can't do. Okay, you can do this. All right. Number 23 is a review from geometry. I know how much we all love the geometry chapter. Let me zoom out just a little. It takes a little bit of time to do. It says a sign is shaped like an equilateral triangle. Approximate the area. Well, let's talk about the area formula. The area formula for a triangle is 1/2 base times height. If it's equilateral, then you know all the sides are equal. So we know that the base measurement, oh, I don't know why I put a third. This is the base. Like 36 is the base. What in the world? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here. All right, I'm going to change that to 36. Not negative 36, that is just 36. But we're missing a height. So the height goes down. And if the triangle is equilateral, it will always intersect the base at the midpoint. So 1/2 of 36 is 18. Now we're trying to find height, so I'm going to draw this picture down here. This is actually a right triangle, so what I'm going to do is use Pythagorean theorem. So 18 squared plus x squared equals 36 squared. 18 squared is 324. 36 squared is 1296. When I subtract 324, I get 972. I'm going to square root, and I get approximately 31.177. Okay, approximate. We are approximating. So I'm going to go up here. That actually represents this x, which actually represents the height. So the height is 31.177. I don't know why I keep forgetting that one. Yeah, I don't know. It just blends in. So in my calculator, okay, I've got 1/2 times 36 times 31.177 gives me about 561.186, which approximates to roughly C. Number 24, two sides of a square are represented by x squared plus x and 5x plus 28. What is the perimeter? So to do this problem, we need to factor. So in a square, go ahead and draw it up here. In a square, we know that all the sides are equal. So that means that the side x squared plus 8x has to equal 5x plus 28. Well, in this problem, I see x squared, x, and a constant. So the key here is to actually use factoring. So I'm going to move everything, keeping the x squared positive. When I move the 5x, 8 minus 5 is positive 3x, minus 28 equals 0. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 28, and those same two numbers must add to 3. The numbers that we're going to use are 7 and 4. And then to determine which one is negative, look at the addition part. 4 plus 7 equals 3. The only way to get 7 down to 3 is to subtract 4, which means 4 is my negative. Since the A value is a value of 1, you can jump in and put these answers in parentheses. Remember our shortcut when A equals 1. That's why we spent so much time on that. Now, we've got 2 answers here. One of them, though, we're not going to use. So the way that you narrow it down, so I'm going to take x squared plus 8x. So I'm going to test negative 7 first. So negative 7 squared plus 8 times negative 7. So 49 minus 56. That gives me a negative 7 answer. I can't have a side length that's negative 7. Like, it's not possible. So that's why this is gone. I did not cross out this number because it was negative. I crossed that number out because when I plugged it into a side, I got a negative number. So again, problems we have when it comes to factoring and side measurements, lengths of shapes can never be negative. So just because it's negative, that's not why I threw it out. I threw it out because when I plugged it in, I got a negative. So now I'm going to go ahead and solve for the using the 4, I'm going to plug it in. So 5 times 4 plus 28. So 20 plus 28 is 48. So what that means is one side of the triangle is 48, or of the square, I'm sorry. We want to know the perimeter. Well, there's 4 sides in a square, so I'm going to do 48 times 4. 48 times 4 ends up being 192. That is the perimeter. I could do 48 plus 48 plus 48 plus 48, or I could just multiply 48 by 4, same thing, and I would get D. Okay, number 25. In the following figure composed of irregular polygons, find the value of x. What I would recommend is breaking this shape up. So I have an x on the top and an x on the bottom. Now, this x represents an exterior angle. All the exterior angles of a polygon are 360. Also, we know that regular means same. So that means that all of these exterior angles for this polygon have to be identical. So there are 5 sides here. So 360 divided by 5 is 72. So I know that this exterior angle is 72 because all of the angles have to be the same. I'm going to do that same process down at the bottom. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So 360 divided by 6 is 60. Now, in order to solve this problem, notice how they assume you're going to do this one first. 72 is not the answer. So to find the length of x, I'm just going to add 72 plus 60 to get 132. 26, m is the midpoint of RS. RM is 3x plus 1, and MS is 4x minus 2. What is RS? I would take a second to draw the picture. So I would highly recommend you sketch. RS are the endpoints, M is the middle. That means these are equal. RM is 3x plus 1, and MS is 4x minus 2. Well, midpoint means in the middle, which means it's the same. So 3x plus 1 has to equal 4x minus 2. Subtracting 3x leaves me with a positive 1 over here. Again, I don't know why I wrote that. 1. X minus 2. When I add 2, I get 3. So my x value is 3. Again, not answer D. And it wants to know the measurement of RS, which is the full segment. So what I need to do here is find all my little pieces and then kind of go from there. So x is 3, so 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Well, if this is 10, again, 10 is not the right answer. I'm crossing that one out. And s is also 10, which means the full measurement is 10 plus 10, which is 20. All right, number 27. A long practice. I gave you guys a lot of problems. I'm sorry. Practice makes perfect, though, or near perfect. All right, I'm going to zoom out best I can to try to get this whole problem in here. Which of the following equations has a graph that has a y-intercept of 4 and is parallel to 3y minus 9x equals 24? First thing you got to do is find the slope. So I'm going to solve for y on this one over here because you can't identify the y-intercept and things like that, until you actually know what it is. And this form, that's not possible. So I'm going to subtract 3, so I get negative 9x equals, oh, wrong. Oh my goodness. I am so glad that I made that mistake, because it's a mistake that you all make. We're so used to the x being first in standard form that we just get in the habit of subtracting the first thing. So I'm glad that I did that by accident. So I should be adding 9x to get 9x plus 24, okay? Everybody makes mistakes. It's fine. I'm going to divide everything by 3. So y equals 3x plus 24 over 3, or plus 8, I guess. We could simplify that to 8. So we want a line that is parallel, okay, parallel, which means the slope of 3 is actually going to stay the same. So my slope has to be 3, so I'm going to go ahead and build my equations of 3x. The y-intercept has to be 4, so I have to be adding 4. Okay, got to be adding 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish this problem up. So what you want to do from here is, now I basically just need to solve all these problems and finish up. So what I'm going to do is just start at the first one. Okay, I'm going to start at the first one. So negative 12x plus 4y equals 16. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add the 12. So 4y equals 12x plus 16. And then what I want to do is divide everything by 4. So y equals 3x plus 4. Notice how those match. So the correct answer is F. Like, that's what we did right here. All right, I'll give you a second to pop that down. Okay. On the next one, when graphed in the xy coordinate plane, what is the point of, at what point do x minus y equals 12 and y equals 2 intersect? This is another system of equation. So what I'm going to do from here, y is 2, so I'm going to go over here and replace x minus 2 equals 12. Adding 2, I would get 14. So in my answer, the x coordinate is 14. The y coordinate is 2. So the answer is D. Number 29, what is the value of B that makes two lines perpendicular? So what I would do in a problem like this is, first I need to find the slope of the line. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 3x, divide everything by negative 1, giving me positive 3x minus 4. Now, I want the slope to be perpendicular. Well, if I want the perpendicular slope to 3, that would be negative 1/3. Okay? So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to solve this for y as well, even though I've got a weird b over here. So this would be negative 4bx plus 1. Divide everything by 2. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2bx plus 1/2. Now, we want to know if these are going to be perpendicular or not. Okay? So one of the lines slopes is 3, which means this slope has to be negative 1/3. Well, in this problem, the negative 1/3 is the slope, and the slope is represented by the numbers that are in front of x. So I have negative 1/3, and that has to equal negative 2b. Okay, so stay with me, it's weird. So I'm going to put a 1 underneath and cross multiply. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6b. I'm trying to solve by b, so I'm going to divide by negative 6. So I get b to be 1/6, which is option E. B is just a number. The number is in front of slope, okay? So the b value is 1/6. It's not saying the slope is 1/6. It's saying the slope is negative 2 times 1/6, which would give me negative 1/3. All right, number 30, which is Sorry, I'm like getting all jumbled. I think it's because this worksheet is so long. I'm sorry, guys. This is a long video. It says, what is the x value at which the graphs of y equals x squared minus 2x plus 1 and y equals x squared plus 2x minus 1 intersect? Now, this problem, okay, I'm sure you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, I see a y, an x squared, and a 2x, like, and another x. Notice how both of these equations equal y, which means both of those equations can actually equal each other. They both equal y, so they actually end up equaling each other. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to panic, and I'm just going to write it down. Now, let's get the x squareds together. Well, if I subtract x squared, they cancel. So this problem is designed to look difficult, but it's not. So I'm left with negative 2x plus 1 equals 2x minus 7. I'm going to add the 2x. I'll get 4x over here minus 7. Add 7 to get 8 equals 4x. Divide by 4 and I get 2. This problem wants to know the x value, and the x value is 2. Option A. So again, looking at this problem, I see how it's intimidating. It looks intimidating. Okay, it definitely does. But in this problem, they both equal y, so they equal each other, and then the squares end up going away. Number 31, when graphed in the standard xy coordinate plane, which of the following equations does not represent a line? Here's the thing. Lines, y equal mx plus b, the x value, it's raised to a power of 1. This is raised to a power of 2. This is technically some kind of parabola. It's a quadratic. Quadratic lines are not linear. They're not lines. They're parabolas. So the answer is E. All right. Number 32, what is the slope of any line perpendicular to 3x minus 9y equals 14? I'm going to solve for y. Subtract 3x, so negative 9y equals negative 3x plus 14. Divide everything by negative 9. Negative 3 divided by negative 9 is 1/3 x, and then I have negative 14 over 9. This is my slope. That is not my answer. Oh, I am so sorry. I just solved that whole problem and you couldn't see any of it. Okay, so 1/3 would be parallel. I want perpendicular. So 1/3, the perpendicular, I would flip the fraction to 3/1 and change the sign. So negative 3/1 is just negative 3. Option A. And the last one, we finally made it to the end of this very long worksheet and this 45-minute video. It says, what is the y-intercept of a line in standard form that passes through these 2 points? First thing you got to do is find the slope. So y sub 2, so 3 minus negative 2. So 3 minus negative 2, negative 2 minus 1 is 5 over negative 3. We want to know what the slope is. We're not adjusting it, so my slope is going to say negative 5/3. Now I'm going to pick a point. So I'm just going to pick the second point. It does not make a difference what point you pick, okay? Doesn't matter. So I'm going to pick the second one. So y minus y1, which is 3, equals 5/3, negative 3, sorry, x minus x1, which is the 2. Now I'm going to distribute. So y minus 3 equals negative 5/3 x minus 10/3. I'm going to go ahead and grab another hall pass. Let me just kind of use the one I already did. Move this down a little. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and add 3. Grab my calculator. I got negative 10/3 plus 3. I get a decimal. Math, enter, is negative 1/3. So my final answer is y equals negative 5/3 x minus 1/3. And we're looking for the y-intercept. So the y-intercept here is negative 1/3, which is option A.